Alright, so this is an introduction on the topic of impermanence. So if one looks at the life of the Buddha, while he was a young adult, he had a very privileged life. He lived in a palace with beautiful gardens, and as he grew up, he was groomed to take over the kingdom of his father. But while going out of his palace, he encountered an old person, and so he realized that he also is going to grow old. And then he met a sick person, and he realized that sickness is also part of our human experience. And then he met a dying person, and that made him aware of the fact that, and he asked people, oh, is it special that that person dies? And they said, no, everyone has to die. So he came to realize that, oh, life ends with death. And then he met a sage, a wise man, which was very peaceful, and asked him, why is it that he's so peaceful, despite this experience that we have to face, like old age, sickness and death? Oh, by training the mind, one can find peace. So he thought about these topics, and his father was pushing him to take over his kingdom. And so he felt quite inner turmoil contemplating this fact, so he couldn't take over his father's kingdom, so he left at night and escaped, trying to find an answer to this life's problem. And he trained under various masters and discovered the beauty of the mind. Discover that within oneself we have something that is immaterial, that is clear and knowing, that is aware, that consciousness. And that consciousness is immaterial, and it is beginningless and endless. Right? So he inquired into the nature of the mind. And by going further into the nature of the mind, completely understanding it fully, he reached enlightenment and became known as the Buddha. So from the very beginning of his life experience, the fact his inquiry started with facing sickness, death, old age, these problems of human life. So in Buddhism, meditation on impermanence is a central pillar of our training. So usually there's three types of meditation on impermanence. So one contemplation is impermanence in general. So one contemplates the fact that life passes, that one's possession passes, one's computer dies, one's car becomes old, that our society constantly change, transform into something else. So our beauty passes, our friendship evolves and so forth. So we meditate on the impermanence of life in general, to reduce one's attachment, to reduce one's, bewilderment, one's excitement at the outer world. So that's one type of contemplation one has on impermanence. Then a second type of contemplation one has is called subtle impermanence, where one meditates on the fact that the body and mind is changing from moment to moment. So one focuses on the body and mind and see that each moment of awareness change from moment to moment, and the body change from moment to moment. New cells are born, old cells die. So one see that one psychophysiological aggregate is changing from moment to moment. And why one does that in inquiry is to realize that we have a sense of self, a sense of I that seems to be enduring. And by focusing on subtle impermanence, one realizes that there's not such a self that exists in this enduring way, that is a kind of hallucination. And that sense of I is what is the root cause of many of our mental problems. No? So that's the second type of inquiry into impermanence. Now, the third type of impermanence that Kyabje Sopa Rinpoche elaborates, which this module is about, is the impermanence of one's own life. You see, the fact of one's own mortality. And one doesn't meditate on that straight. It's based on previous understanding. First, that one has his consciousness that is eternal. You see, that we are actually a being that has always existed and that will always exist. And that we, in this stream of lives, suddenly in this present moment we have what's called a precious human life. And it's why this life is precious compared to many other lives. In this present moment we have a lot of freedom, we have a lot of opportunity for spiritual progress, for creating cause for happiness. We see if one uses the human intelligence, one can understand how to make oneself happy, how to make oneself happy and peaceful in this life, but also how to create the cause to be happy next life, and how to bring happiness even forever, and even how to create the cause to become a fully realized being, a fully enlightened being, a Buddha. So it's based on that understanding that this life is very, very precious. You see, it's only based on that understanding, that realization, that then one meditates on the fact that this life is very short. You see, that we have this precious opportunity, but it's not gonna last. Right? So based on realizing how precious this life is, then one meditates on its impermanence, on the fact that it's gonna end. Right? So we all know in general that we are going to die. No, it's nothing special. We see people dying all the time. We read it in the news about the wars, about people dying in accidents and things like that. So we have this general awareness of impermanence and death. But here, the point where it has to sink in is that it's not people in general that are going to die, it's me. You see, it's my own life that is going to end. You see, so we know it intellectually, but to actually feel it with our, from the core of our being, one does this meditation, that we have this precious opportunity for this incredible spiritual progress, but this opportunity is going to end, So to realize that one shouldn't waste too much time, So, and this meditation has 3 steps. One is to realize that we're going to die, that is unavoidable. You see, that this precious opportunity that we have now for spiritual progress, it's going to end, and there's no way to escape it. So this, we meditate on it again and again, so that it really sinks in that, this body is going to disappear, my friends, my person, everything's going to disappear. And so to realize that this precious opportunity we have for spiritual progress is going to end. So that's the first type of meditation one does. And then the second that follows that one is to realize that it can happen anytime. You see, that, we might feel that, yes, I'm going to die when I'm old, it's going to happen. But the second meditation is to realize that, yes, it's going to happen, but it can happen anytime. You see, it can even happen today. That there's no guarantee how long we're going to live. So the purpose of the first meditation is to realize that, yes, I have to make spiritual progress. I have to make my spiritual life an important component of my life. You see, because this life is going to end. And it's only what my mind has acquired that will continue. The second meditation is to make us think that, yes, so I can die any moment. You see, there are many causes for death, like accident, like sickness, and so forth. So that I can die any moment. You see, so that makes us bring us to the awareness that I should practice now, that I should engage in spiritual practice now, not procrastinate, say I will do next year or when I retire and so forth. No, because that can happen anytime, I have to do my spiritual training, my spiritual practice right now. Right? And then the third type of meditation, one realizes that, you see, what will help us at the time of death. So one eliminates, all the other aspect that one could be attached to. You see, like one's friends. You see, one spends so much time cultivating one's friendships, one's relationship, yet at the time of death, none of those friends can accompany us through the process of leaving this body with our consciousness. Same thing, you see, our possession that we accumulate during our life, none of them can accompany us to the transition of living this life. And even this body that we are so comfortable with, that is our home, you see, even that we have to leave behind. So one does this meditation, you see, to try not to dilute one's spiritual practice too much. You see, to realize that at the time of death, it's only our mind, the quality of our mind, our spiritual realization that really matters. Because the rest, cannot accompany us. So this is the type of meditation one does, you see. So to realize that death is definite, that its actual time is uncertain, and at the time of death, only, you see, the quality of our mind matters. We cannot take anything else with us. So Kyabje Sopa Rinpoche will elaborate this. You see, he has a special way of speaking about it because he speaks from his own experience. You see, he has really, digested, really experienced these things, and from his own experience he's able to pinpoint, to show us the important points. You see, these teachings are very vast and can be very elaborate, but he has this special faculty to pinpoint exactly what's the most important point, so that we don't get lost in the details. So I encourage you very much to study this module and to watch his video and to read the text. I think it will benefit you a lot. Thank you very much.